it's all related
Yeah.
in your own self-love.
Yeah.
It's sort of like central to the rest of your life. If you don't love yourself, you're going to end up, just being abused all the time. You're going to let people abuse you. You won't stand up for yourself. And it'll affect your position. So you might miss opportunities because you think you're not good enough. All that stuff. So self-love is pivotal.
Welcome to episode number 53 of the 100 Successful Women, a Conversation to Inspire series. So in this episode, I would like to introduce another powerful woman, Allison Rose Clark, who is a keynote speaker, an author, and an advocate against family and domestic violence. For over 30 years, Allison endured a cycle of abuse and trauma that stripped away her voice and self-worth. But through incredible resilience and self-love, she broke free. Emerging as a powerful voice against domestic violence, she shared with us, no matter how dark the circumstances, every woman has the power to shatter silence, shed shame and persecution, and soar into a life of empowerment and renewal. So let's dive into my conversation with Allison coming up next. Good afternoon to you, Allison. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for saying yes to be part of this 100 Successful Women podcast, Allison. And it's even more special because you did say yes. And today, you choose to be a guest on this 100 Successful Women podcast. It's your big day today. Happy birthday to you, Allison.
Thank you so much. Yeah, the big 50. I wish it was the 40 still, but no, it's 50.
Wow, that's amazing. Such a big day for you and something really special. And I really want to say thank you to you for saying yes to this podcast, especially on such a special day. I know that you're going to be busy today. And thank you so much for being here with us, Allison.
Thank you for having me.
So I know that some of you who watched the episode before, and you guys must be aware that what is the first question that I always ask the 100 Successful Women guests. So Allison, I know that you are a speaker, you are an author, and you have been an advocate for domestic violence and family violence. I know that you play different hats. You're also a mom, you are different position that you're holding, especially in the community, in the family, and of course you are a daughter as well. So out of these different hats that you are wearing, Allison, who is Allison Rose Clark at your core?
That's a good question.
I really love this question, and I like that different guests having different answers for me, and that's something that I'm really looking for.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, I am a dragonfly loving, very energetic, love to be with people. I do have my moments where I need to pull back, but yeah, I think I love cats. I'm happy. I like to see the positive in everything, even when something's going bad, to see that positive side of everything.
Love that. Yeah, I love that when you're saying that you can see the positivity in different challenges, and that's so important, especially that's how we bounce back. And throughout this conversation, we're going to learn a lot more about Allison, and then she had a very challenging journey as well. So I believe that she's going to openly share with us her stories. So, and I love that you mentioned about dragonfly. So what's the story behind that dragonfly, Allison?
Okay, well, it's a bit of a longie. So what happened is, when I was growing up, I loved tigers, and just had tigers everywhere. And anything tigers, I would go crazy about it. So when I was older and I'd been suffering with depression and suicidal thoughts and things like that, I became aware that the symbol, what tigers represented emotionally, was holding back, right? And then exploding, like letting out. And I thought, all right, well, I need to change my, I guess, totem for my life. I still love tigers, but I'm not making them my main theme anymore. So what I did is I asked God, what should it be? I went to this retreat, like a inner child workshop retreat.
Mm-hmm.
When I was there, I was walking down to one of my workshops there. A red dragonfly followed me all the way down the path. And then when it was over and I walked back up, a red dragonfly followed me back up the path. And I went, right, I get the message. It's dragonflies.
Wow.
I had no idea what their meanings were or what they represented, but I just went with it. And as time's gone by, I have looked up dragonflies, and they mean breakthrough, new life, change of wind, or wind of change, strength, new beginnings.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, that's really what I'm looking at to want to represent. And so there I changed that. And I also see myself in them, because that was the first time I'd ever seen a red dragonfly. I always thought that they were brown. I didn't know they came in all these little colours, beautiful bright colours, and they're all like different sizes.
Mm-hmm.
And, so that was a bit surprising to know. So there's something wondrous about them, and mysterious, and they have such a spiritual connection with mythology, and it's been told that they carry messages from your ancestors to you.
Oh,
Yes,
that's beautiful moments. Yeah, that's such a divine, sound like a divine being. And then, when you mentioned about tiger, I was like, oh, did I hear it wrong, tiger or dragonfly? But yeah, I got where you got that dragonfly from. That's such a beautiful creatures that you mentioned, and that's something I learned today as well, because I always heard about being butterfly, that's like transformation, but looks like dragonfly is one of them as well.
Yeah, dragonflies are very much the same sort of thing, but they have a bit more strength behind them, and that's how I also see them, is they have that strength. So when I wrote my book, I wanted to have the dragonfly on the front breaking through a spider web. And the dragonfly is you, the web is life, our issues, things that we get stuck in. And so the dragonfly breaks through that. So you have the power to break through all your troubles.
Wow, that's such a beautiful story that you share with us there. Thank you so much for sharing that, Allison. And you did mention about your book, and then we probably will tap into a little bit about your books later. But the second question that I would like to ask you, Allison, is that how did you got on this journey to become a keynote speaker, the author for the books that you just mentioned, and become an advocate for family and domestic violence?
Okay, well, that's really deep. That's coming from my whole life experience, basically. So there may be a trigger warning for some of this particular content. So when I was born into a family that was loving and caring and have been all my life. We went from, and I started school very energetic, very spontaneous. I didn't hold back. Got trouble at school sometimes, and back then they used to stick you in the corner. So I was all in the corner a bit. And then when we moved, it was the first time that I ever encountered school bullying, and from then on it sort of just went, my self-esteem of myself, liking myself, loving myself, just went down and down and down every year that it went on. When I was 8, my cousin sexually assaulted me, and from then I withdrew. So I lost my voice, I wouldn't speak up. I wouldn't speak up loud enough for anyone to hear me. I was quiet. I didn't want anybody to notice me. I wouldn't say a word. There's quite a few people who would say to me, oh, I didn't know you were sitting there. You're so quiet. When I was 16, I met a man 4 years my senior. And he and I were together for 4 years. In that relationship, he tried to strangle me, suffocate me, and he tried to kill me. So I nearly lost my life in that particular relationship. So a whole lot of other bunch of abuse, like emotional, physical, all of those, pretty much every category except spiritual. And I didn't have any kids. And then I went from that relationship straight into another one. And that person ended up being my first husband. That was abusive. The next marriage was also abusive. And the third marriage was also abusive. And the third marriage was also had spiritual abuse in that one, because we were both Christians and we were running a church and stuff like that, and it was just very manipulative of the Bible and praying demons out of you. So towards the end of that last relationship, I just sat there one day and I thought, why am I always finding myself in these relationships? What is it about me that is that I'm letting these people do this stuff to me? And I realized that I hated myself. So because of that self-hate, and I didn't take drugs, I wasn't an alcoholic, I didn't have any other types of addictions. I was allowing my relationships to abuse me instead. When you hate yourself so much that you do allow people to abuse you. So you're sort of like, I'm punishing myself. For some reason I think I deserve it. That that I want to punish myself for something. So I went from there and I started sticking up for myself in my third marriage. It didn't get any better, but it didn't get heaps worse either. It just, the arguments escalated, but there was no physical violence or anything in that way. I just stood up for myself more, so we had more. Before I was just like letting them slide. Whatever he said about me, I let it slide. But now, after I'd made that epiphany, I decided, no, I'm not going to just put up with it anymore. Arguments got more. And then I split up from him and I wanted to write a book. And what happened is back in 2012, so I got back in 2012, my sister bought me, for my birthday, a writing course. And in this writing course, the gentleman was, the mentor was helping you go through what is it you want to write about, all this other stuff. Writing a book. He contacted me because I didn't finish it, and I was writing a fiction story. And apparently I was the first person to come into the course that wanted to do a fiction story. So he contacted me, asked me if I was still interested in doing it, and I said, yes, I'm still interested in doing it. So due to some just very, I think, luck or God, I was in the process of trying to move because my rent was going up $5 a week, and I was on workers' comp and only getting half a wage, and I'm thinking, how am I going to stay there? So when this came up, I talked to my kids and I said, if we do this, we can't move and you might have to live with your dad. Yeah, that's all right, they said. So I did it. I had the money there. At any other time I would not have the money because I just was never that financial that I would have more than a few $100s in the bank at any one given time. So when I had this money there that I'd saved up, or that I had there for bills, I took the leap and invested into this book. So then I wrote my book, and it started off as that this time I wanted to talk about loving yourself. So then I sat down, wrote out what I wanted to write, and it was just going to be straight, flat autobiography, memoir. But as I wrote the first chapter, it turned into a self-improvement book. And when I thought each chapter, I'd broken it up so I could teach someone. That was one of the things that they said, the mentor said, is how would you teach someone to love themselves? And so I did. I wrote that. At the end of the first chapter I'm writing, I thought, there's some, maybe the reader's going to see something in this that they see in themselves. So I wrote a little for the reader at the end of the chapter. And so I continued that throughout the whole thing. So it turned into a self-improvement book, a hybrid of autobiography and self-improvement, which at the time, that was 2014, it wasn't really heard of that you would have a hybrid self-improvement book like that. So I didn't have heaps of advice throughout all the chapter. It's just like I'm talking about myself. And then at the end, I have something for them to do. A lot of people have read it and they have said that it's quite well written, they love it. That's what made me write that book. So I went from there. I've gone through so much abuse in my life. I've had my friends do horrible things on me, tricks, pranks, desert me, abandon me, reject me, all these things, not just from people who didn't like me, but these were people who were supposed to have been my friends at the time. And so it was really, I had gone through all of that, and I found that my purpose in that was to help others. And so through the book, that's what I've done. And so now I advocate wherever possible against abuse in general. Domestic violence, yes, but just abuse in general, school bullying, workplace bullying, all of that. It's all related and centered in your own self-love. So it's sort of like pivotal to the rest of your life. If you don't love yourself, you're going to end up, just being abused all the time. You're going to let people abuse you. You won't stand up for yourself. And it'll affect your decisions. And so you might miss opportunities because you think you're not good enough. All that stuff. So self-love is pivotal. So I wanted to help people get to that stage as well, to that realization, and then work through it to the point where you can just reject abuse.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing such a vulnerable stories of your Allison's, and that has been such a journey for you, and it must took a lot of courage for you to stand up, to write everything in your books and to be able to speak about it.
Yeah, it was good therapy. So even if you weren't to write it, like get it published, it's really helpful to just write your story down. It's very therapeutic, and I ended up having things come up that I had forgotten because I was doing that.
Wow. So will you be saying because of the book writing, it helped you to heal along the way as well?
Yeah, because I was able to deal with it, and I couldn't move through the book into the next stage because I had to deal with that part. So dealing with our triggers and stuff is what we need to deal with as well in order to learn to love ourselves. And we have to face our own negativeness, like our own imperfections and where we were at fault as well. Because if you can't admit you've been at fault at something, you're just lying to yourself. So you're just going to end up back where you were. Nothing's going to change because you don't believe you've done anything wrong. And it's not that, I wanted people to abuse me. It's just I let them do it because of my self-love. When I left, I went back, and I kept going back, especially with the guy who tried to kill me. I kept going back. I can't even remember how many times I went back to him but I kept going back, knowing what it was like and putting myself at risk every single time, and then it nearly cost me my life. So yeah, that I had to own. Without owning that, I would keep blaming other people, and I wouldn't change that part of my decision making.
Yes.
Make better decisions. So that's the sort of bolt things that I'm talking about, is you have to own your part in it.
That's such a big thing, right?
Yeah. Even if it's minor, like even if it is just because you chose to go back, that was yours. You have to own it. No matter what position you were in, it was still your decision. And once you can own that, then you can move on, and it'll help you tremendously. I had to do it. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to admit that I did anything wrong.
Wow, that's such a it's like I say, it took a lot of courage to own that. It's to take 100% responsibilities of your life, and then to take the power back in your own hand. Yeah, that's so powerful. It's such a big acknowledgement to you for taking the leap of faith that you just say, and then to go on this journey. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Allison. So are you currently in a relationship at the moment, Allison?
Yes, I am. I'm in a very good relationship. So part of my book, part of my whole process of breaking the cycle was I created a treatment plan. So I just sat down and said, well, what's a good relationship? I don't know what a good relationship is. I know what isn't a good relationship. But how do I know when I'm in a good one? Because I don't want to repeat that and go down 5 years down the track and find out that, I've missed all this stuff because I'm looking for just red flags. So I sat down and I thought, okay, write down everything that I didn't want in a relationship. So I didn't want to be hit. I didn't want to, I don't want to be controlled. I don't want to be told who my friends can be. I don't want to be stopped from going out with my friends. I want to be able to work to speak to my male colleagues, for instance, like just things like that, and then turn it around into the positive, so that I want, for instance, that I don't want to be hit. I want hands to only touch me gently. So then when I come into a relationship, I'm not just thinking, well, he's not abusing me and sitting on edge waiting for it. I can say, right, okay, he's treating me like he's in line with my treatment. Then you can actually say, well, is this a relationship worth pursuing? And you can say, yes, I'm going to go down that path with this relationship because it's meeting my treatment plans, guidelines. So they're your personal green flags. Not someone saying these are what green flags are, the same as what they say these are what red flags are. They're your personal green flags. So you're telling yourself what it is you want in a relationship. So you're not being told, telling yourself. So that gives you your own power back too. That gives you the power to say who is in your life and what is in your life. You get to choose who's in your life and what's in your life and how you're treated, because you're being telling yourself exactly what it looks like. So they're your green flags, personal green flags, and I call it my treatment plan. So not something that you do when something goes wrong, but something about how you're treated by other people. Anybody. It could be family members, it could be friends, it could be colleagues, it could be anyone, a coach. That you will love yourself enough to stick by those treatment plan step points that you've put in there for yourself. You're more likely to remember them because they're in your own words as well. And that's how I started.
I think it's such an important piece of advice that you actually given, especially to those who are looking for a relationship. It's so important for them to recognize what do they really want in a relationship. For those who have probably experienced abusive relationship, it's important for them to recognize what you just mentioned And then, I love your treatment plan. That probably is going to help a lot of people who have been through this as well.
And the good thing is, this is what you've told yourself. This is based on your own experiences of bad relationships. So if you compromise on it, if you say, oh, that's a really stupid point, I shouldn't have put that in there. Likelihood is you're going to end up back in a relationship that is not, that's a bad relationship on a different, varying degrees, but it doesn't to your past relationships, but it's still going to be a bad relationship because you have told yourself this is what a good relationship looks like, this is what you don't want, and this is the positive side of it. So if you say, it doesn't matter, then you're saying you don't matter, and then you end up with the same thing. So it's utmost importance not to compromise. And because I've had that treatment plan, I have had a couple of boyfriends where I've actually used this, I've done the compromising, and I ended up in the same type of relationship. But I was able to reject it. I didn't put up with it for 4 or 5 years. I know there's people out there who have been in it for 20 years. I just didn't. So it was within a week, when it happened and it happened a couple of times, and I went, that's out you go. And it was like a week that we'd moved in together, and I went, that's it, see ya. Always when we moved in together that it changed. So when I met this gentleman, I was very wary. I was always on edge as well. But I still went by my treatment plan, and everything that was on my treatment plan, it ticked. So I went, this is a relationship worth pursuing. And now we're living together, and he has been the nicest guy I've ever been with. And I just love him so much because he's just not the type of person I would have went for either. He's so different.
Yeah.
Because my normal attraction would have been to someone else and I'd make compromises for those people's behaviours. I would have excuses for them. But with this gentleman, there is nothing to make excuses about. There's nothing to say, we'll cross that road, that bridge when we come to it. There's none of that. He is who he is. I never thought that I'd find anyone like that. I thought maybe I'll be single for the rest of my life, but I was happy to do that if that was the case. I wasn't going to go into another relationship that's abusive. If it meant that I had to be, by myself, I was happy to.
I understand what you were saying, Allison. I think the biggest things is that you are loving yourself now more than anyone else. You know how to fill your own coffers, and you know what is most important for you, and that's why whether there is a relationship for you or no, you know that you got yourself.
Yeah. And you get to you do have your lonely times where you go, I wish I had someone to hug or snuggle, but then you remind yourself, well, someone's going to come along, or at least I'm not in an abusive relationship anymore. But we're made to spend our lives with someone and have love and stuff, so that's normal to miss that. However, I didn't just go, well, I'm lonely, I'm just going to go off with someone, and the next person that I meet, I'm going to, go with them because I'm lonely. I just don't. I was happy to be on my own if it meant that I avoid abuse in a relationship, that it wasn't worth spending the rest of my life in being abused. I've already wasted 32 years of my life in so many different relationships, and allowing people to abuse me in friendships and all of it, right across the board. So I can't get that back. And I don't want to spend the rest of my life doing the same. I mean, I'm 50 now. I'm 50 today. Yay. But I don't want to spend the next, if I live to 80, that's 30 years. I don't want to spend another 30 years in and out of abusive relationships for the rest of my time that I've got on earth. So with or without somebody.
Yeah,
I'm worth more than
that's such a big celebration for you, Allison, for having that decision to break free from those relationship that doesn't serve you anymore, and then and just know that the power is in your own hand. I really love that, even though you've been through that 30 plus year in that abusive relationship, but as long as now you know what you want, and then you don't want to waste another like how many years in your life going that cycle again. That's so important, Allison. Thank you so much for being so courageous, standing up for other women out there who might be still suffering. I think your message is so important for them. It's all start from a decision and your aha moment that you decide that enough is enough.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
You get to that point. We all get to that point. It's just because the longer you're in it, the less you see a way out.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah, the worse it is too. The worse it is, you can't see a way out. But there's always a way. But it's just so hard to find it. But there's a way. You just got to keep looking. Yeah. So,
okay. Yeah.
And I would suggest anyone who's in a really bad, serious, life-threatening possibility of a relationship that they don't jeopardize themselves through, if they, say, yes, I want to love myself more, get out of the relationship safely and then build on and then go through the rest of the process. But, don't go standing up for yourself against someone who's going to, beat you to a pulp. That sort of thing. Look after yourself, look after your kids, and then you can deal with the rest of your self-love once you're away from them. And I don't pretend that it's easy. But sometimes we can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, but that's because we're still going around the bend.
Yeah, so true. Yeah, such an important message, like I say, for Allison to be someone who experienced that before, and then she has been through all these roller coaster that she been on, and then I think she can advise a lot of women out there who are currently still in that relationship that doesn't serve them. So yeah, thank you so much, Allison, for sharing your journey and then how you got onto this healing process, and now you're able to choose whatever that serve you better. So if people want to reach out to you, maybe for some chat, for some advice, where can they find you online, Allison?
They can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, but I'm also on Threads now. I ended up on that by accident last week. Just pressed something and it was Threads, and it's just another, I think it's related to Instagram, so I don't know. But if you don't know what that is, it doesn't matter. Instagram, I'm on Instagram.
Yeah, so I will put the link of those social medias of Allison in the description, and so any one of you who probably needs some chat for some advice or maybe some tips from Allison, feel free to reach out to her, and I believe that she will be able to give you some tips and some good advice as well.
Even if it's just a virtual coffee, like they just need to talk to someone, I'm happy to just listen. So whatever it is they need.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. That's so deep journey that you did share, and such an important message. So what is your one piece of advice for other women out there?
Well, the main thing I say is to stand up for yourself. Like, if someone's saying to you something you you don't like, say they call you a name, something really bad. I don't want to say any swear words on here, but I think we all get the idea of what sort of names I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You can say to them, I don't like being treated, I don't like it being talked to that way. And just let them know that you don't want to be talked that way. We don't want to be treated that way. With my partner, I use that. I say to him, I don't like the way you just spoke to me. And, can you talk to me in a nicer way? Then it's a good start, if nothing else. Except, like I said, if you're in really bad, dangerous situation, get safe first. That's the number one advice for them, and for everyone else who's in a position that they can say something. Let's just stand up for yourself, because the more you stand up for yourself, the more confident you'll get, and the more love you'll feel for yourself, and the less you're going to put up with other people's stuff. And basically, when you do that, all the people that were just hanging on because they're using you, they just fall away, because you're not doing what they want to do anymore. So you're even sifting who it is that's worthwhile in your life without having to make that decision, because they do it themselves.
Such a great reminder. Stand up for yourself and use your voice. Thank you so much.
Silence is not golden. Silence is not golden. Ever.
Yes, that's so true. I really appreciate what you're sharing with us, Allison, and such a deep journey. And even though it's only like around 30 minutes that we are spending with you, we know that it has been 3 decades of your life that you condense it and share with us during these 30 minutes. That's mean a lot to us, and I believe that it gives a lot of people empowerment when they hear your journey, and then to get them the awareness of what they can do if they choose to stand up for themselves. Thank you so much, Allison. So before we wrap up today's conversation, is there anything that you would like me to ask that I haven't asked yet, Allison?
No, I guess unless you want to see my book.
Yeah, so before we end this conversation, maybe Allison can show us your book, and then if any one of you would like to reach out to Allison to find out more about the books that she mentioned, and then reach out to her. What are the 3 books again?
I've written 1 book so far, so
I Don't Hate Me Anymore.
Yeah, and that's the Dragonfly I was talking about. It's been printed twice, originally with a publisher in London, but I ended up cutting off the contract with them and printed it myself. And the yellow dragonfly, the colours mean stuff as well.
That's such a beautiful book. How many books did you write again, Allison?
I've written 1. I've written a chapter in another one. But the one with the chapter is available through my website, or direct messaging me, actually, and that's this one. And there's reasons around that I'm not going to share. But this is the book, the Mindful Journey. So my chapter is in here. And it's about mental health, journey through mental. So mine's called It Started When. And that's...
Is that a poem, or is that a whole...
Oh, it starts off with a poem that I wrote.
Okay. Yeah.
There you go. There I am, picturing it.
I love that. And I love the title of both books. And then it's such important. I can see that why it's so important that you love yourself, because when you say you don't hate yourself, that means you put more love on yourself, and such an important message. So reach out to Allison to find out more about the books, and then we really love to hear more about the book. Maybe we'll get Allison up again next time to share with us more about the 2 books that she mentioned, because I believe that, or buy the book and read it for yourself.
Yes, the second book's full of wonderful knowledge from 9 different authors. So yeah, it's a good investment as well.
Yes, and mental health is such a big issue or such a big topic in the world today. So it's such an important for us to have the awareness on mental health. Again, thank you so much, Allison. I really appreciate our conversation, and probably in the future we'll get you up here to share with us your journey and your book as well. Thank you so much, Allison.
No worries. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
You.